Alright, hello and welcome to Ben's OP Game Show, recorded live, 3 p.m. Pacific time every Friday, right here, twitch.tv/TheGameFanatics. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about Prey some more because I love it. And also, Nioh released its first piece of DLC content, Dragon of the North. Pretty sure that's the name of it. And I played that as well, but first let's take a look at some of the biggest stories of the week. I don't know why I still say that, because I really just pick on one thing. And this one thing, near and dear to my heart. Well, that might not be the right way to describe it, but I still care about it. Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, a lot of problems with it, right? Not a very good reception. A lot of complaints and problems people will bring up, and etc. And this week, we had a couple developments about Mass Effect Andromeda and BioWare as a whole. So I'm going to read a few quotes. This is a quote from a EA financial report. And I took everything I'm going to say from a GameSpot article, Jesus, and a Kotaku article about this thing. So Mass Effect Andromeda is an interesting title. It was in development for a really long time and represented a lot of great things that BioWare is known for. Story, size, depth, breadth, imagination. And while the overall aggregate review scores were lower than we would have liked, we did have over 100 reviewers score the game at 80 or higher. So it represents a fan base that's very passionate, that's looking for very particular things, and many players found exactly what they are looking for, and some players did not. Now, I am in the camp of, I did very much enjoy Mass Effect Andromeda. I want to go back to it. I totally will. It's just kind of hard to when there are a pile of things coming out between Zelda eating up a whole month to Nier to now Prey. It's tough to get Mass Effect time in there, but I really do want to go back to it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And then we have this other story that broke about the same time, also kind of from this financial thing, basically saying that BioWare, which one is it? Edmonton? BioWare Montreal. Sorry. There's like 3 BioWares. I have to remember which one it is. BioWare Montreal, which is the main developer of Mass Effect Andromeda, kind of being ushered off into a support studio, which essentially means they just support other things and not make their own thing. BioWare still has another IP coming, but Mass Effect is on hold. And I have a couple of particular points here from the Kotaku article. Fans have been wondering where the lauded sci-fi series will go next. The answer, according to people familiar with the studio, is nowhere, at least for the time being. BioWare has put Mass Effect on hiatus and turned Andromeda's developer, BioWare Montreal, and once I learned how to remember things, into a support studio, according to 4 sources close to the company. BioWare is letting Mass Effect sit for a while rather than putting staff on Andromeda's follow-up right away, these sources said. Last month, a number of BioWare Montreal employees were transferred to the studio EA Motive, also based in Montreal, to work on Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is clearly a big title. Those remaining at BioWare Montreal will help support BioWare's other games, including new intellectual property, codenamed Dylan, which we expect the company to announce at E3, blah, 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 and they'll continue to support and patch Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, sources say, BioWare Montreal is significantly smaller than it was just a few months ago. Those who didn't go to Motive will help out with BioWare's other projects rather than incubating and developing their own new projects. And there's a couple things to talk about here, because they also delayed this Project Dylan a little bit further out from when it was originally supposed to be released. And I don't really know about this or care about this because nothing's known. It's just like a code name out in the ether, right? They delayed that, but they couldn't. After months and months and months of me saying they should delay Mass Effect Andromeda, and on release, when they had all this bad press of the gifts of the EA Access shitstorm, it was obvious they should have delayed this game. There's no other way to look at it. And the 2 patches they put out, a month after release, drastically improved things. That's a shocker. And it seems to me that EA is kind of indirectly going, you guys dropped the ball, we'll get back to it, whatever. But it's really your fault. So thanks, EA. Thanks for killing Mass Effect intentionally, because there's no reason to just release this game. You knew it was broken. You knew there were problems. You knew this was going to happen. You knew people would eat this up. Maybe you also knew, even in the best case scenario, this game was not a 10 out of 10, but you knew releasing it in the state it was in was a bad idea. But why'd you do it? Why did you do it? For money. For the end of the quarter. For shareholders. Because we have to at a certain point. You're a big enough company, suck it up and delay the game. The very fact that you didn't even show fucking gameplay until 6 months out, before 6 months out, it was like what? 4 months before the game came out, is very telling. Very, very telling. And the writing was so on the wall, and you just wanted to be right. You had to get this game out before the fiscal quarter ended. You just had to. So much was riding on it, apparently, that you may very well have killed, at least temporarily, one of your biggest franchises that isn't sports ball or a multiplayer shooter. So I hope you're happy, EA. Hope you're really happy you couldn't just delay this game 2 months. Because fuck all's coming out in June. Or July. Oh, we got ARMS coming out? Oh, good. I'm so excited for ARMS. Could have been playing Mass Effect. Could have been playing the best version of Mass Effect. But no. Instead, we get garbage and my ending slate. So thanks a lot. Thanks a whole lot for that. I hope you're happy. How long does this ending slate go? Oh, there it goes. One day I'll get back to you, Andromeda. One day. There's a lot of good space games this year. Mainly Prey, which we'll get into in a second. Well, squeaky chair. Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. For a second there, I thought I wasn't even streaming. And then I was like, that was a weird thing to do with your life. It's weird enough to talk to yourself in front of a camera in your apartment. But it's even weirder if I wasn't recording. Oh my god, that was funny. To only me. Or no one else there. Alright, where are we going? Speaking of spacey things, Prey. Where should I even begin with Prey? I love it. I think it's one of the best games I've played in years. I kept kind of waffling. I'm like, this is one of the best games I've played since, and I would like name a game from 10 years ago, and I was like, no, Bloodborne. I really enjoyed Bloodborne, so I think I can go back as far as Bloodborne. This is the best game I've played since Bloodborne. This is the best game I've played this year. It beats Resident Evil 7 for me, even though I loved Resident Evil 7. It beats Nioh, even though I love Nioh. We'll talk about Nioh more in a minute. And it beats Zelda, because I think Zelda, for as great as it is a little bit of a disappointment. And one of the things that Zelda actually does extremely well, that exploration, that macro level of wandering the world and seeing something over the hill, right? An old man. And wanting to explore that, and wanting to see what's up with that. Just that spark. It's like a spark of imagination, but it's a spark of exploration. It's the Lewis and Clark in us all to go and see the world. That's what Breath of the Wild is. And what Prey does is the exact opposite. Breath of the Wild is the macro. It is this expanse, the breath of the wild. But Prey is the small, intimate moments of being on a realistically proportioned space station. Every single part, there's a cargo bay, there's a, the recreation area, there's corridors for people to sleep in, there's a lobby, there's all this stuff. And it's all logically laid out, and it's all just as inviting, just as intriguing as that faraway mountain is in Breath of the Wild. You'll go into a room, and you'll open the door and slowly look and see a cabinet and pilfer through it. You'll see a note on the door, and that note reveals a passcode to the computer. You walk over to the computer, enter the passcode, or you could have hacked it if you didn't see the note. Or you could have found the password another way. There's so many different ways, is what I'm saying. And you read an email on that. And on the email, it just kind of mentions this guy who's been stealing artifacts and making his own artifacts, materials, and making his own robot. And it's like, oh, I gave it this goofy name. And there's like another email with his friend making fun of him for the goofy name of this robot he's making. And then you walk around the world and you find a destroyed robot. And it's named. And you realize that was that guy's robot. And now it's destroyed. And it's these little tiny moments. It is the macro exploration, or the micro exploration, that Breath of the Wild does so well in the reverse. Prey does that. It does the exact opposite for that. And it's so fucking incredible what it does for... I mean, this is a game that if anyone wants to get into game development, particularly level design, needs to play. This is a level designer's dream. It is incredible, some of the things they've done. How, like, even just normal game design perspective here, you'll have a room, and I can't get into the room, right? It's locked. I don't have the key card, okay? I can't even hack it. That's how locked this door is. But there's so many options for me to get into this room. I can turn into a little cup and navigate through a hole in the window. Okay, sure, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can look up and see some way to use the glue gun to make platforms up into the room through a maintenance hallway. Maybe I can just continue exploring and find the owner of that room, and find the keycard on them. Maybe I can even do a crazier thing and have a foam dart gun shoot a computer through the broken glass in the window, and the computer has an option to open the door, and I just have to shoot enough darts until I hit it and open the door for myself. And it sounds like one of those canned things that they'd use in an E3 demo, right? Well, you can do this so many different ways. You can kill this guy, and then you can go over here. You can stealth this way and do all these things. And then when you actually play the game, it doesn't live up to it, right? It's really that one scenario. It's not the whole game, or it's more limited when you actually play the game. That's not true here. The entirety of Prey is set up like this. There are so many different ways and options to get anywhere. And it's so much fun, even if you've already unlocked the door, right? Even if you've figured out the key code combination, it's still fun to look around the room and go, oh, I can go here. Like, I could have came into this room a completely other way. I just recently, there was this room that I didn't realize had a fake ceiling, right? It's glass. The ceiling was glass, but I could have broken it and climbed through over the broken glass and stuff into the next room that was locked, that maybe I didn't have the key for. Or I could have just had the key. Or I could have used one of the recycling grenades to clear stuff out of the way of the door. Or I could just not go into, like, the choices, the moment-to-moment choices in exploration. This slow, methodical exploration of this space station is incredible, and it is so much fun to me to find these objects. Like, every single object in the game can be broken down into its core components and used for crafting. So you can end up crafting neuromods, which are your skill points, basically. You can end up crafting any weapon. As long as you have the fabrication plan, you can 3D print all this stuff and break it down. And so you'll be finding, where in other games, you'll find an extra shotgun that's like the level 1 shotgun. You'll just like, whatever, throw this away, I don't need this. You'll take it. In this game, you'll take it. And you'll take everything. Like, oh, I used a banana. I'll take it, right? And I'm going to throw it into this recycling machine, and I'm going to get core components, and I'm going to do something with that. And I'm going to craft, like, oh, I'm running out of pistol ammunition. Let me craft it. And it does something where I'm 23 hours into the game. I feel like it could be winding down. There could be like 3 or 4 hours left, or there also could be 10 more. I don't really know. It could go either way at this point. Where now I'm getting hunted by enemies. Like, there are things to fight. It is not as slow as it was before. As I was exploring, now I'm running out of new areas, so I'm not exploring the same way, right? And I'm using all these things I've been finding. I have 20 EMPs, right? I've just been carrying them around this entire time. And now's the time to use them. Now it's like, oh, there's 3 of these guys in this room, whereas usually there would have been 1. And this guy, he's holding 3 turrets, and they're surrounding his body. And they're just firing at you. So you throw an EMP, and then I slow down time, and I run up to him, and I shoot him in the face with a shotgun. Or I sneak up onto him. He doesn't have the turrets, right? So I sneak up on him. I shoot him with a stun gun. He's stunned. I shoot him a couple times. It's just about to come out of stun. I slow time again, shoot him, continue to shoot him. He dies. Like, there's so many different ways to do this. There's another gun that I could use. And it's one of those things, too, where you think there are so few weapons. And I think that's a good thing. There isn't a rocket launcher. There isn't this super crazy gun. There isn't an Uzi. Unless if there's an Uzi, I haven't found it. There's basically a pistol, a shotgun, your wrench. There's a glue gun, which you don't use offensively, but you can. And I did at the beginning of the game in particular. And there's also another, like a particle beam cannon, which doesn't damage them so much as fill up a second gauge that if it gets full, kills them. I don't know what that means. I think it just kills them on a molecular level. And it's incredible. Like, those same amount of options for navigating around the world and finding solutions to things exists in the combat. The very fact that I have not augmented my abilities with some kind of, Typhon, which are the aliens, power. And I'm pretty late game, I think. You know, I can't turn into any of these objects. I can't shoot a psi beam wave. I'm not resistant to fire or whatever. Like, I am just pure human abilities, and I keep upgrading them, and I love it. And I love that I can get through the game like that. Like, there's no penalty. I don't need the psi beam power. But on another playthrough, I could just go full crazy alien person and be shifting around the room. There's an ability where you can like shift over here, right? And then your first body stays there and people think it's still you, right? And I think another thing while I'm talking about skills that needs to be brought up, I really pick on certain games for their skill trees. I picked on the Witcher 3 a little bit for its skill tree, but I really pick on Skyrim and Fallout 4 for their skill trees, for making not a lot of sense, for having too many options that are non-consequential. And I love the fact that Prey gets the skill tree right. It is not, oh, you get 20% more health if you spend 5 perks to get there. Like, it's not that. These perks you start getting, I don't know why I'm going to call them perks now, these skills you can get with the neuromods. It's like, oh, you have 100 life, right? Well, the first one you get is 115. I'm like, all right, fine. But fully upgraded, 300. 3 times your health. There are certain things, oh, I want to upgrade this. Now I do 50% more damage with all guns. Like, that's a big increase in a game where the damage values, you know, you could have the starting shotgun that does 40 damage or something, and now it does 90 because you upgraded all these points and you upgraded the weapon a couple times. The point being, the skill tree is fantastic, and it isn't, oh, there's 16 levels of this. Like, for the at most it'll be three levels. So like I can, or hacking goes up to 4, right? So there's level 4 hacking, level 3 hacking, level 2 hacking, level 1 hacking, level 1 like lifting of heavy objects, then level 2 is heavier objects, stuff like that. And other abilities that are like, oh, I want to break down components in my inventory and use them as spare parts. or I want to be able to use spare parts to repair things in the world. These are abilities you don't have to get, right? You don't have to do that. There's this one puzzle, I guess we'll call it, that I did recently where this component was broken, and I could have just repaired it. Or I could have gone into this other room and carried it back over there and just found it. And it does that thing that everyone loves Breath of the Wild for, and it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't put everything like, you need to go and collect this. Here it is, shining, here it is. It just says, hey, you need to find some disruptor stuff. And for the most part, it'll just let you like find it. Like, just find it then, you know? It'll maybe point you in the right direction, but it's not going to hold your hand for these little optional objectives. It really lets you play the way you want to play. Oh, hey. Kyle talk record. I never know how to read. This other screen's really far away. Just talking about Prey. How much I love Prey. There's a couple other things I had written down here. I think I should mention that IGN review, which is insane. I understand complaining that like the game shit the bed on you, and I haven't read the review because I don't want to read it yet because I'm still knee deep in Prey. But I feel like it's a little silly and crazy, and it's not going to happen to a lot of people. If you look at the Steam review page, not a lot of people are having problems like that. I had one glitch. This review talks about crashes, no crashes. Like it's run pretty flawlessly, except for one. There's one room in one area that doesn't run very well. And I don't think that's my computer. It seems to be a widespread issue in that one room. It just doesn't run right. And I think it has to do with the lighting is loading weird in it. Like I kept turning, and if I walked away, I'd see the lighting like load weird. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. But the only problem I've had with the game is this one glitch where something got deleted out of my inventory when I went through a door. Besides that, flawless. So I think it's weird to have a review and be like, this game's pretty great, but it shit the bed all over me. Here's a 4. I don't know. I need to read the review, but I want to beat the game first. I don't want anyone else's opinions tainting my own on Prey, because I do want. It's such an experience to me. I don't want even the stray sentence of someone talking about a moment in it to interfere with how I'm processing through it, because I'm enjoying it so much. It's insane too. If you look at a game like BioShock, which is like what, 8, 10 hours, 12 hours maybe. I'm 23 hours into this. It could very well be, by the time I'm done with it, 30 plus of slow, methodical, thoughtful gameplay. This isn't like BioShock. Like, think of the original BioShock. It ends with a corridor shooter segment. Like, it really starts off slow, and you're looking at every note, and you're picking up ammo, and it becomes a shooter. It becomes, oh, you have a grenade launcher, and you have a minigun, and you've upgraded this, and you've upgraded that, and you've got fire missiles, and you got turrets shooting on beep 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 beep, like the little turret noises. You've got all this stuff, and in this game, it maintains so impressively. It's so impressive to me that it does this. It maintains that slow attitude, that slow way of play that really can only be found at the beginning of a lot of games, where like I'm still scrounging around. Like, I still need to scrounge around. I'll still run out of ammo, and I can fabricate the ammo, sure, with the crafting, and I can still die in combat encounters. Like, it's still something where I need to pause and save the game and like look at it and think, how do I want to play this? I know I have 30 medkits. That's besides the point. I want to defeat this combat encounter without using any medkits, without like doing the most optimal way possible, because I'm hoarding all these things. This really is a game for hoarders and recyclers, because you do recycle a lot of things in it. But the pacing, that's what I was talking about. The pacing's incredible. That they're able to keep that, to keep what so many things lose. Like the BioShock's great. I really did enjoy BioShock, but it does become a shooter in a way that this game doesn't. And a lot of complaints about this game, which I'm honestly surprised by. When I played the demo, I was like, this is the next game of the year. Like, this is the next game everyone's gonna freak out about. So I'm a little bit surprised that there's kind of a little lukewarm reception to it, because I was blown away and remain blown away by pretty much everything in it. Everything. I think the story's good. I don't want to really go into it. The story's good and interesting. The setting is particularly great. I love that it's all contained. It's not... It feels logical. Like, this is the water treatment facility that you'd need in a space station. This is the cargo hold over here. Like, it's laid out in a way that fits really well. I think it could use a better map, maybe. It could also use a better inventory in terms of, I'm hoarding so much garbage. I need more space for garbage. Like, the junk maybe should stack a little better. But I think overall, this game, in a year of games that are just for me, right? Resident Evil 7, Nioh, Zelda, another one I probably forgot, even Mass Effect. Like, these are all games that feel like these are my games. Like, this is exactly targeted to me. This is the one that is most me. I love the setting. I love the gameplay. I love the freaking skill tree. I never love skill trees in a lot of games. They're always so just bad. This one gets it right. It gets it right in so many areas that it's hard for me to find much fault with it. And just the fact of how many different ways you can go through a combat encounter. You can prepare for it. You can build turrets and set them up. You can hack other things and like set up traps. You can use the environment against things. Like there's tubes of... It's like, oh, it's flammable. Watch out, it's flammable. If you shoot it, a fire will start bursting out of it. You can use that as a trap. And it does that in such a way that, like, Bioshock did that. Like, the original Bioshock did that. But it was always so obvious. It was like, hey, look, these guys are in a pool. Why don't you electrify them? And I'm like, all right, fine. But you don't get... Maybe you do get an electric ability. I just don't have it because I never leveled that up. But you'll be fighting these things and stuff will start being on fire because of the environment, because enemies are coated in fire or coated in electricity. So you have to deal with that. Like, I can't fight this guy on metal because he's going to electrify the floor. I can't do that. Or he's going to electrify this pool of water that's nearby. I can't have that either. This guy's lighting things on fire and there's a bunch of explosives over there. Like, don't take the fight over there. There's so many things to take into consideration. And that's the other thing too. You don't even have to take them into consideration, technically. It's the choice of it all. The world feels so, like, tight and itself. And hopefully, I don't know, is this even a review? I'm going to review this game essentially like 7 times because I love it. Love it so much. I can't wait to, I think next week I'll have finished it, hopefully, unless it's an 80-hour game somehow. Review and talk about the story because I think it's really good. I think it's told well. It's interesting, but it's not quite there for me. There are some great moments. There's a lot of cool character interaction stuff. It remains to be seen where it goes from. Yeah, here's another example. I can shoot that and then repair it, and now it's not zapping stuff. And I can get the things that are next to these people. I can find all these people. There's something homely? That might not be the right word, about this station. It feels welcoming, but in a scary way of like going back to your childhood home and no one's there. I don't know why I did that in the gameplay. But I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say. Are there any questions? Are there any questions about Prey? Just play it. Jesus. There's a water treatment facility in it. That should be enough. It's not enough? Maybe don't play it for the water treatment facility. Oh, there's also equipment, like mods for your suit and stuff, which I think are laid out poorly, but not super consequential. It's good. It's good shit. It's a very good game. It's a very, very good game that I will say again, very shocked it's not getting... I mean, I was expecting like 8, 9s, and 10s. But it, like across the board. Because even the demo... I would have paid... I played that demo for 7 hours. it's so good. And I kept finding new things. Like, I'd play through this game again. I guarantee you I'd find new stuff. And you start looking at the world differently. You start seeing windows and like things above you, and you really start looking at them and thinking, like, is that a viable route? What if I go over there? What if I try and do all these things over this way or that way? Like, it rules. This game rules. We'll end this after I kill this guy. So here's what you can do. I got the sneak attack on him for double damage. I start shooting him. He's shooting me. I slow down time. I keep shooting him. I change to my wrench to beat him up and do the final blow. But it has that tense, frantic combat throughout. And I love that. People have complained about the combat and how it kind of doesn't feel right. And I can understand those complaints, but it's the same way of tank controls in Resident Evil 1. I think they add to the experience. I think the fact that the mimics jump around and you can't always fight them makes sense. It feels like trying to hit a creature that's jumping around the room with a wrench, which, newsflash, wouldn't be super easy. It makes sense, and you do get better at it, and it is it's fucking incredible. I wish I was playing it right now. Can I just do that? Can I play it right now? No? Fine. Fine. It's enough about Prey. Just go play it. Go pray it. Ba-ba-da. So, in addition to loving Prey, Nioh, one of my other favorite games of the year, came out with its first little bit of DLC. I think it's $15. I don't really remember. I'm sorry. Because I bought the DLC season pass, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So it's Dragon of the North. Covers up my name. I don't know how to fix things. Here's the deal. I think this is good bit of DLC. It adds one whole new weapon type, which is pretty cool. I don't think you're going to see me use it in this. Oh yeah, I'm using it right now. So it's basically a big ass sword. It's the it's Sephiroth's sword is what we'll call it. It adds that. It adds a couple of training, one training dojo mission for that weapon once you level up a certain ability. I don't know if it adds these other missions that popped up all over my map, but the one I guess section of the map that it adds have 10, as far as I can tell, 10 missions to do, right? The vast majority of them are side missions. So 7 of the 10 are side missions, as far as I know. Now I say as far as I know because I've only unlocked 9 of them, and I'm sure there's a 10th one. Because that's how percentages work, and I can see the percentages. Now the 10th one could very well be another main mission. I doubt it. I really doubt it. And I haven't beaten all of them. I beat all but one of them. The one I didn't beat is an annoying boss that I don't want to do. Because for some reason, Nioh, and I haven't talked to anyone about this, but I am 40 levels under the recommended level. And I don't understand how, or if that's intentional, or is that like a common thing? I don't really know. I just don't know. And I'd love to know, but I don't. Now, the actual content of this, there's 2 new big levels. And they're great. This is one of them. Overall, some of the better stuff that's in Nioh proper. The 3 new bosses that you fight. All good. All good to great, actually. Some really, really good stuff there. I think some of it could be changed, whatever. There's nitpicks here and there. Like, I like other boss fight styles better than some of these, but overall, really good boss fights. I think the final one in particular very evocative of the, what was her name? Was her name Maria? Because the boss in this game's Maria. Was it Lady Maria of the Spectral whatever? The Bloodborne Old Hunters DLC, the lady you fight in the Clock Tower Church thing, the second to last boss of that. Very reminiscent of her fight in that. Not as good, because that fight's incredible, but still a fantastic fight to be had. So I think that's great. I think 2 levels is pretty short. One of the side missions takes place in another completely new area, and that's cool and all. There are a few new enemies, these little snakehead dragon men. Those are cool. There are a few other, these red kappa shell guys. There's another set of Oni. They're these giant, weird, witch doctor-y, scary dudes with a bunch of different weapons. And I like fighting them as well, but it does feel very light. I think maybe 6 or 7 hours I spent. And a good hour of that was just on the second to last boss, who is a pain. I like me falling there. I got stuck in the side. Anyway, it's great. It's more Nioh, and it made me appreciate Nioh more because I really enjoyed the alpha. I really enjoyed the beta. I really enjoyed the last chance thing they did for Nioh, and I really enjoyed the game. But the game felt kind of because I'd played so much of it before it came out. But then, since Nioh, I played the Dark Souls 3 DLC, the last set of that. And so going back to Nioh was weird, but it also made me realize how good Nioh is. It really is something incredible. Oh, you know what? I think the other mission that I didn't complete is a Twilight mission, a Twilight version mission of one of these. But anyway, Nioh is so good. So much better, I think, than a lot of the recent Souls stuff, except for Bloodborne. It just takes that formula and goes somewhere else with it in a way that I love to see. I love the action, more action-oriented stuff with it. And the same, that's why I like Bloodborne, right? But it adds skill trees. It adds the summons. There are these different weapon types and these combos and like key usage, which is so much more important than an enemy's stamina in a Souls game. And I think it's really good overall. I think it's a little lacking in terms of like the game itself is incredibly long. Like it just keeps throwing more and more levels at you. And this DLC is very like, here's the first level. Now 3 side missions open up. I'm like, okay, I'll do the 3 side missions. Here's another level. I'm like, okay, I'll do the next level. And now, to be fair, these levels are not like 45 minutes. These are longer. Some levels in the main game are a little shorter. These are of the longer variety. And I do the next mission, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's one more, right? And then one more is just a boss fight. So, okay, it's not actually a 3rd level. It's just a boss fight with its own room before it. That's fine. It's a good fight. There's still Kodama to find. There's still hot springs to find. There's a bunch of new trophies to do. It's still really good. They add a bunch of PvP, which is free. The PvP stuff is free, and I will never do it. And I'm glad it's sectioned off in its own thing from the DLC, because I still one day want to get the platinum in Nioh, because it is a fantastic, fantastic game. And some moments in this are great. There's some tough stuff here, particularly since I didn't think Nioh proper was that difficult. The bosses here, I died more times to these 3 main bosses than probably the last 10 bosses combined in the main Nioh game. For sure, actually, I would say. And even these areas, I died much more. I think it's a little more difficult, and I think that's good. I don't think Nioh was very difficult. I'm probably the only person who's saying that. I think Dark Souls is way harder than Nioh. I don't get the people saying otherwise. I don't understand that. Nioh's not as difficult. There's some stuff here that's pretty challenging, especially why am I 40 levels under leveled? It's like, oh, you should be level 175. I'm like, I'm 139. What is this about? I'll never understand that. I'll also, like, you need so much experience to get to those levels. How could I even, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. What else about Nioh? I think that's it. Short show. I gotta go play Prey. Play. It's a great game. Everyone should play Prey. Everyone who has Nioh probably gonna play this. It's worth it for the new weapon, just to see it. It's not my type of weapon, so I switched back to my dual swords after a certain point. But the new bosses, the new areas, the snow stuff, that's great to see. It's totally worth it. It's not amazing, but as I said, it did make me appreciate the main game more and how different it is and how refreshing that is compared to going back to Dark Souls and being kind of like, ugh, this is feeling old. This is feeling its age for sure. And it's great. You know, it's great. It's great minus. Is that a thing? It's a B. It's a B minus. Maybe a B. Maybe just a straight B. I don't want to start grading things, but it's a B. Anyway, that's the show. Usually it's a little longer. I don't know. It's probably going to go a little shorter now. There's no news. E3, the drought. E3 drought. Hashtag. Until we get to that. You're going to have a prediction show the week before E3. That's going to be fun. Next week is Fire Emblem. Even more Prey. Hopefully something happens in the news I can complain about. Vanquish the week after that. Vanquish on PC. That's going to be cool. Anyway, every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to do this with my hands. Twitch.tv/TheGameFanatics. Merry Christmas? I think that's it. These are the weird witch doctor people I was talking about. I don't know how you're supposed to fight all 3 of those guys. I had to just pick them off one by one because there's no way you're going to go in the middle of them and just be a dick. Like, ooh, look what do I do? Look at Leroy Jenkins over there fighting all 3 of these demon people. It also sucks. I don't like the moveset for the Odachi, which is the new weapon. I think I die here, yeah. That'd be a good place to end it, right when I die. Oh, I don't die? Alright. I tried to die.